All right, we are live. What's happening, everybody? Excited to be here, and it's always a treat for me to have out this gentleman. Not only do is he a an incredible mentor to me over the years, and a
Mm.
great someone who's been very influential in my life and business, but also somebody that I highly respect in the online marketing world, but also somebody I consider a dear friend as well. Somebody who's been there to really give me some great advice over the years, and somebody I appreciate. So, Mr. Ray Higdon, thank you for coming out here, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, been a while, and anytime we get the opportunity, I jump at it. So,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to have you out, and I know you've got quite a story of just things that have happened in your life, and I'm always excited to hear the things that are going on with you and what's going on in your business because obviously you've been such a great leader for a lot of people to follow. So let's get right into it, man. I know our topic today is how to truly transform your life, so let's dive in.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't want to make assumptions, and we haven't
Yeah.
done anything together in a while. So, there may be people watching that don't know who I am or don't know my story. So I'll very quickly share that. Um, I'd worked my way up in the corporate world to a pretty high paying salary, and just realized that I just wasn't happy. And there wasn't going to be any happy in that career. And so I went into real estate, which did really well until it didn't, and the market crashed, and I got wiped out. And so I was kind of forced into network marketing. No one was hiring me. My credit was shot. I'm broke. I went through a divorce, went through foreclosure, and I just decided I'm going to make this thing work. I'm going to figure this thing out. And I know a lot of your people do video stuff and follow you because of your video expertise. And so that's one of the things that got me out of that tough place is videos.
Mm.
And so July 15th, 2009, I decided I'm going to start doing a video a day. And I actually didn't miss a day until right around that same time in 2021. So like 12 years, didn't miss a day. And in the beginning, they sucked. It sucked. Engagement sucked. Everything sucked.
Yeah.
But after a period of time, there was a time when I was generating 3,000 leads a month without ads. And now things are actually easier than they ever were when you and I were getting started.
Yeah.
With the Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, like all of those things are just amazing for getting in front of people that don't know you. And you used to have to pay for that. Now you don't have to. So it's pretty
Yeah.
sweet. And so anyway, long story short, I did make it work in that company that I joined in 2009. Went on to become the number one income earner of that company, made millions with that company. Long story short, decided to start coaching and training. Just really fell in love with that concept of coaching and training, others. And so that's what we've been doing full time, my wife and I. We've now been married 11 years and 11 years this year, I should say. And yeah, we help a lot of people. The next kind of thing for me, so coming out of foreclosure was, a battle, right? And then the next battle, just these last like few years, is I realized that although I was getting a lot of results and making money, getting a lot of results, speaking on a lot of stages, I really wasn't fulfilled. I kept
Mm.
setting a new goal, and I would hit that goal, and it wouldn't make me feel any better. And I'd go set another goal, hit another goal, and wouldn't make me feel any better. And so I just kind of realized that there's got to be something else out there. And a buddy of mine introduced me to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I started, taking that seriously. I started meditating every day, started attending some of his retreats, and and kind of figured out that my workaholicism was my coping mechanism
Mm.
with a lot of beliefs that I still carried from childhood of low self worth, of I would have, social anxiety
Mm.
and different things. And so, you know, one of the things Dr. Joe says is he says, to overcome yourself, you got to know yourself, and you get to know yourself through meditation and through self-reflection and awareness. And so really been building that muscle the last, couple of years. And it's one of the reasons I'm really excited that Dr. Joe is speaking at our event this year. He spoke at it last year and, blew people away, and he's speaking at it this year as well. And so I now understand how to transform, and it's really it boils down to, again, something I learned from Dr. Joe, which is your personality creates your personal reality,
Mm.
and your personality is how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And so most people, they try to change their personal reality, what's outside of them,
Yeah.
without changing their personality.
Mm.
So they wish for, whatever, a bigger following, more money, better relationships, or whatever, but they show up in the same
Mm.
way that they think, act, and feel, their same personality, and that will never work. If you're going to change, you're going to have to change yourself. If you're going to change what's out there, you're going to have to change what's in here.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, your thoughts, how you think drives what choices you see.
Mm.
So if you have a thought that people are bad, or making money is hard, or I'm just going to get betrayed like I did the last time, if you show up and that's your thoughts, it's going to limit the number of choices
Mm.
that you see available.
Yeah.
And so you're going to treat new things just like you treated old things.
Mm.
You're going to see the same kind of choices that you saw in the past. You're not going to see a new choice.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to, for you to start to change, you need to change your thoughts. And for you to change your thoughts, you need to first be aware of your thoughts, because
Yeah.
most people are on autopilot and they're not even aware of how they're showing up. They're not aware of their state of being. And they think they are their emotions. So if they get angry, they think, oh, that made me angry.
Yeah.
Well, you can observe your emotions and you can change your emotions if you become aware, and if
Mm.
you have that kind of fortitude of, I want to change, and you're serious about it, then you can.
Yeah. I think I saw a post from you. I don't know. It was probably a couple months back, but one of the things that, and just speaking in, kind of today's social media environment, depending upon who you follow and things, but you made this post and you said, being able to not comment on something you disagree with is the new superpower.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a great example of what you're talking about, how being able to change how you are right away, like, and I agree, because there are times, I'll see things and, that part of you like wants to respond, but then you're like, no, and that's just one example. But
Yeah.
my point is yes. I mean, if you want to change what's around you, you got to change the way you think about how you approach it,
Yeah.
and I love that. I think that is such a key thing. So
Yeah. So one thing that I do that really, I mean, it's one of my key things that I do every single morning is I do a morning journal. And so this morning journal consists, and I've tweaked it over even just the last few weeks, but I'm now, I think I'm day 84 of doing this every morning. And so every morning I wake up and, I mean, I do a few things, but when I do the morning journal, I'm okay, what am I thinking and how am I feeling? And I'll just put a couple, some days it's 3 or 4 lines, some days it's 2 lines, whatever stands out. And then the next part is something that very, very few people do. And that is, I write down, how do I not want to show up today? How do I not want to think, act, and feel? And when you do that, it forces you to look at the previous record, right? It
yeah,
forces you to look at the day before. And so you look at the day before and you say, well, how did I show up yesterday? Did I show up kind? Did I show up present? Did I show up loving? Did I play big? Did I, did I mentor, someone when I had the opportunity? Was I loving? It has you ask those kind of questions, and or for me sometimes it's, did I overeat? I mean, some days I overeat, and so it has me look at and audit the day before and see how I showed up. What was my state of being the day before,
Mm.
and what don't I want today?
Yeah.
And so, that's something most people don't do because they're on autopilot, right? They just kind of react to whatever shows up in their life, and they react the same way. And research shows us that we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are the same as the day before.
Mm.
And so if we have the same thoughts that drive the same choices and actions and behaviors and experiences and emotions, then it makes sense that we don't change.
Yeah.
And so, when I audit, and so number two is I audit the day before. How did I show up? Is there anything I need to tweak? And so far, I've found something every day. And so, every single day, I haven't nailed any day just yet, but it's not like I beat myself up. I just audit it and say, okay, this is how we change, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to change that today. I'm going to be a little kinder today. I'm going to be a little more interested in others today. I'm going to maybe be more compassionate, right? Maybe I was tough on somebody. And then number three is how do I want to show up? What do I want to think, act, and feel?
Mm.
And so for me, there's a few things that I have every single day, and that is I write down I want to be kind, present, and loving. I want to
Mm.
be a great mentor to my kids. I want to feel loved, be loving, and be lovable,
Mm.
right? And so those are just kind of things that if you ask me 5 years ago, it's like make money, right?
Yeah.
Get leads. And what's interesting is when you show up of the emotion of gratitude and things like that, you get that stuff. Now you
Yeah.
still need to work, right? It's not just
Right.
meditation, but you still need to work. But it's amazing what shows up in your life when you start to really get to the root of it, which is
Yeah.
your thoughts that goes all the way down, to your emotions. And then the fourth thing is looking at how I want to show up and what I want in my life. What is the plan of action? What will I demonstrate today?
Yeah.
How will I show up today? What will I actually do? And so that has, specific things that are correspondent with who I want to be, how I want to show up. And, that's a very, very powerful morning, exercise.
Mm.
Most people, they never take the time to audit themselves. If they did, they would see they do roughly the same thing and have roughly the same thoughts every day. But they expect to change. That's you trying to change what's outside of you without changing what's inside of you, and that will never work.
Yeah, that's very powerful. And the biggest thing I'm hearing from your message is really the ability to control what you think. And I think a lot of people don't realize too is that sometimes um, we can't always necessarily control a thought that pops into our head, but we can control how long it stays there.
Yes.
And that's very
Yeah.
powerful. You know,
So that's technically known as a refractory period. So a refractory period is when something happens to you, like, and for most examples, when something bad happens to you, how long do you hold on to it?
yeah,
And so if you hold on to it for, less than a week, that's a mood, right? If you hold on to it, for a long period of time,
mm,
it's now a personality trait.
yeah,
So there are people that, you know, um, had an argument with their parent or with whoever left them in high school or whatever, and 30 years later they still are bruising people that never hit them
mm,
because of that refractory period that never went away. It's literally still part of their personality. There are people that wronged them 30 years ago that they
yeah,
still are holding on to, and they've become addicted to that feeling of injustice and that victim mentality. And the sad thing is the person that wronged them 30 years ago forgot about it.
yeah,
You don't even remember.
yeah,
but you've devoted decades to this person and what
yeah,
they did to you, and they don't even remember it.
yeah,
And so you can't necessarily control your thoughts, but like you said, you can catch them.
yeah.
And so the goal isn't to have no negative thoughts ever, right?
Right.
Because when you catch a negative thought, that's a victory. That's a
Yeah,
win.
right.
When you catch it. It's when you don't catch it
Yeah,
that you need some work. And the more muscle you build around that of catching that emotion, you're going to slow and greatly change how often you have those negative emotions, how long they last, and its effect on you,
Yeah.
right? And so, but most people don't understand that. They don't understand transformation. They're looking for, what's that strategy? What's that
Right.
tactic? What's that book? What's that relationship? What's
Something
that thing
outside of
outside of
themselves.
me
Yeah.
that will help me? And but the thing is, you wherever you go, there you are. You have to change yourself
Yeah.
for that outside of you to change.
And I want to talk about this a little bit more because I think you have one of the most powerful stories of forgiveness.
Mm,
And forgiveness, I have found, like you talked about, somebody that maybe did something to you 30 years ago, and obviously it's is different for everybody. It's harder for everybody. Sometimes it's easier for some, harder for others. But
sure.
I know the power of forgiveness in my own life. There have been times where I have been wronged in a very hard way, and I had to make that conscious choice to let that go. And I know you have a very powerful story of forgiveness with your dad that you've shared publicly. So,
Sure.
I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit because I think that that is a very powerful thing. That if people really learn the power of forgiveness, and I always say that forgiveness is not meant for the other person; it's meant for you. It's meant
Yeah.
for you to release what you've been hanging on
Yeah.
to. You know. So.
For sure. I did a video, I think just a few days ago, that's been getting some good traction, and it's an update to the golden rule, right? We all know the golden rule. The golden rule is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? And and I would bet that the majority of people out there, it's not that they did something to someone, but it's they're carrying these negative thoughts about them.
Yeah.
And so, how about think about others in the way that you want to actually feel?
Yeah.
And so I mean, just recently, I've had several people wrong me, right? If you want to call it that. We had people that were in our community that, for whatever reason decided they were now anti-MLM and, bash me, did YouTube's dedicated against me and all kinds of stuff. I have
Fine,
another.
you're doing something right, man.
Yeah, yeah. And so I could sit there and say, "Oh, I hope that they fall down a cliff or something like that." But see, that's not how energy works. That's not how emotions work. Is you can't wish that upon someone without you embodying it.
Right.
And so when you hold this angst or this resentment or anger or guilt or any of that stuff against someone, that's you embodying it. And whatever emotion you embody is going to affect your new thoughts. And it's also, if you, depending on what you subscribe to, which I do, I believe whatever emotion you hold on to, you're going to attract more things to maintain that emotion.
Yeah.
And neuroscience says that we become addicted to that chemical in in that particular emotion. So we have these let's say negative thoughts, and if we believe them, if we verify them, if we put energy behind them, that goes from the neocortex to the limbic brain, which is the chemical brain that actually creates the neuropeptides that travel down your spine, hit your adrenal glands, and create that emotion. That creation of that emotion easily can become an addiction. So a lot of people, the only time they feel actually alive is when they're firing the emotion of anger. And that's why you meet people and you're like, man, they're so full of drama. Well, they're actually addicted to that arousal. They're
Yeah.
addicted to that feeling of that aliveness because they've lost that memory of how to create joy, of how to create
Yeah.
fulfillment or love or gratitude. And so it's important, when it comes to, understanding gratitude or forgiveness
Yeah.
and letting it go for yourself. Wish them massive abundance.
Yeah.
I wish, the people, bashing me, I hope they find their purpose in life. I hope they have an amazing life. I hope they,
Yeah.
really, go impact and help a lot of people. I don't wish them bad, and you shouldn't wish anyone bad.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that, looking back, changed my life in so many ways was the story about my dad that you're referencing.
Wow.
And, it was, 2009. And I was, broke. I had lost it all in real estate. I was selling my furniture. I went through a divorce. And it was tough, man. Really, really tough times. Tough financially, for sure. Tough mentally. I got very depressed.
Mm,
I was drinking heavily. Not proud of that. And someone invites me to a 3-day event, and it's one of the reasons that we're so dedicated to our events. Is we owe every year we run our event, which is next month. Every year we have people completely change their lives, and they send us letters, they send us emails, and it's that's what changed my life, a 3-day event. And so I go to this 3-day event, and I'm thinking, oh man, I need to go, and hopefully I learn how to make some money, because that's what I need. And what I got out of it, the big thing was that I had repair relationship on a to-do list with no priority.
mm,
I hadn't talked to my dad at that point. I don't think I talked to him in 13 years or something like that. I hadn't seen him. He had never met my sons, my grandsons, who were maybe 10 and 11 at the time, something like that. And I asked myself this question, and I think this is an important question for people. If he died without me reaching out, would I feel bad?
mm.
And the answer is yes. I would
Yeah.
not have felt good. And now some people, someone wronged you so much that you don't want a relationship with them. And if they died, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So, okay, fine. I would forgive them just for your sake, right? And like you said, I would forgive them, but maybe you don't reach out to them,
Yeah.
right? That's up to you. I would not have felt good if he passed away and I didn't at least attempt.
Yeah.
And so I reach out on day 2 of that seminar and tell them, hey, I'd love for you to meet your grandsons. I'd love to come see you,
Mm,
and I know we have a rough past, and I could, if I shared my past, I would have 100% agreement of people saying, well, yeah, I wouldn't have a relationship with him either. And there's a lot of things he didn't do right as a dad, and when I was a kid. And so I go up there, and it was I went up there on his birthday, right around his birthday, 4th of July, and so we created a relationship. It's something. It's still not perfect. It never was,
yeah.
but it's something where it was nothing.
Mm,
And I came back, and it was within a week of being back that I found that company and got introduced to that company that I went on to become the number one income earner of, changed my life.
mm,
And so that's kind of the first slice of that story of, oh
mm.
great, forgiveness led me to financial abundance, and it was, that's awesome. But it actually led me to something else too. The first time I ever shared that story, I was in Myrtle Beach, and I'd never shared it. At that time, I wasn't really vulnerable. I was the hot shot. Like I'm a big man, right? So I only talked about my accolades, didn't share any emotional stuff, because
Mm,
I don't need to do that. And something just really called on my heart to talk about my dad and talk about my story.
mm.
And so, I shared it at the event. We did our opportunity meeting. Then afterwards, I did a training and shared it. And so after I finished, the guy that had invited me to the meeting, Kenneth, he's
Mm,
walking down the aisle of, with all the chairs, walking down the aisle of the hotel,
mm,
just crying, man. I mean, just crying big time. I'm like, wow,
mm.
that really, hit you hard, huh? And he said, he said, I just can't believe you just shared that story. I haven't talked to my dad in 17 years, and tomorrow I fly out for his funeral.
Oh man.
I was like, whoa. Like, just getting the call to share that story, never shared it before. Like, oh, whoa. And that did something to me. That made me realize, because Kenneth was doing well in his business, right? That's why I was up there.
Yeah.
And it actually, looking back, that gave me a much different perspective and understanding that I need to be more vulnerable. I need to share some of the things
Yeah.
that I've overcome that may not be so sexy.
Yeah.
And so that really changed me as a person. And looking back, it helped me develop my 3 mantras. And so my 3 mantras are: number one, help the person you used to be. And that's different for every person,
Yep.
right? So, you know, if you've lost 10 pounds, but you still got 100 to go, well, help the person you used to be. Help the person who needs to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Help the person that needs to help with their journey. If you're someone that overcame, physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever kind of trauma, then always know there are people out there that are really struggling. Most people, I saw a graphic on this, and I can't remember the percentage, but it was a sad percentage of people that have been through trauma end up as suicides.
Mm.
And you don't know if you being courageous on a video and being vulnerable
Yeah.
could be saving a life or many
Yeah.
lives. You don't know. And so my first mantra is help the person you used to be. My second mantra, which keeps me on task when I'm moving into the unknown that may be scaring me, and that is we have to be as brave as the people who need us.
Yeah.
And so there are people out there that need your story, and they're only going to relate. They may not relate with my story, but they'll relate with your story.
Right.
And so you need to show up when the going gets tough. That means that there are people out there that need to hear your story. And number three, and I think you appreciate this, is let me never be too busy saving strangers to neglect my own.
Yeah.
And that one was big for me because since I didn't have a great example as a dad, I honestly I wasn't sure how to show up as a dad to my kids. And I got four now.
Yeah.
I got 25, 24, 6, and 3. And so that mantra, all three of these mantras are reminders of how I want to show up in the world and how I want to make a difference and what's meaningful to me.
Yeah. As you were talking, one of the things that I was thinking about, and obviously, people like myself and many people respect you for being the leader that you are in the space. But what I think, if you want my honest opinion, what has truly made you
Sure.
somebody who's been something that people can relate to is your vulnerability, because
Mhm.
you do put that out there, and that's what people relate to. And I think a lot of people miss the opportunities to be vulnerable.
Oh,
And I think a lot of people are, this is where, when I start talking about video, one of the things I tell people is that if you're putting yourself out there, you got to be willing to take the hits, because you're going to get some. It's going
yeah.
to be people that don't like what you say. It's going to be
Yep.
people that got something to bitch about. There's going to be people that got something, one little nugget you say, they disagree, and they throw out the 99% they do
Yep.
agree with, because they disagree with you on that one little thing. But I really believe that's what's made you such a relatable person, is you
Mhm.
have shared your struggles openly, and people can relate to that, because no
Yeah.
matter what level of success you get to, you're always we're on a journey. Like, it's not like you ever
Yeah.
reach that pinnacle of like euphoria that
Yeah.
where it's just you never have to work on anything again.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. And it's, and just know that, I really understand, the Tony Robbins quote of success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Yeah.
I've coached, the most wealthiest, I guess, client I had. He was bringing home $20 million a month,
Mm.
and not in network marketing, outside of it. And but he was really struggling with being a parent. He was really struggling with his relationship with his wife, and wasn't happy. And so there, if you think, and this is what a lot of people think, if only I had more money, then I'd be happier. And then you get there, and then you realize, oh, there are people making more money than that. Oh, I need to keep up with
Yeah.
her. Oh, I need to keep up with him. And so it's a never ending. If money is the pursuit, and believe me, I think you should be abundant. I think you should have plenty of money.
Yeah.
But if that's the pursuit, and you're thinking that's the thing that'll make you feel better about yourself, you're wrong. It's not. They're incompatible.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to plant a bunch of trees and you start collecting guitars, not compatible. You can have a million guitars. No trees are being built, right? It's not happening. No trees are being planted. And so, but with when you're broke, it's easy to think that if only. But once
Yeah.
you get there, it's like, oh, I need another level. Well, this
Yeah.
isn't enough. I need another level.
Yeah.
And so
Sounds like addiction.
yeah, I mean, it is. It's you. It's you.
You know?
It's there's a lot of people that have plenty of money, and again, this is not a bash against money.
Sure, of
It's a
course.
bash against thinking that something outside of you is going to make you happy. You need to be happy with yourself,
Yeah.
and so that you can be placed in any situation and still maintain your happiness, still maintain control over your emotions, thoughts, and feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's some amazing stuff, man. I love your perspective on it, and as somebody who's done a lot of the self development and things like that, I think it's amazing. So, what I do want to do is I want to talk a little bit about Rank Makers Live. I
Yeah,
am super excited about this. Uh,
yeah.
we were just talking before we came on. I don't think I've actually been able to give you a big bro hug in about two and a
Mhm.
half, 3 years. So I'm stoked to go down
It's
and
probably been longer than that, hasn't it? I mean,
it's
when
been a
when's the
little
last time?
while, man. Like
It's been a while.
pre-COVID, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to come down and so let's talk about Rank Makers Live a little bit.
Yeah. So to me, this is we've crafted the perfect blend. And the perfect blend of step by step transformation and mindset with step by step strategy and tactic. And so we have, people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's speaking, and he is, just so like some people say, oh, is it all about mindset? Well, there's a difference between motivation and step-by-step mindset.
Hmm.
So like what we do is we do step-by-step mindset, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Joe brings the neuroscience concepts for change, and what they've researched, what they've proven, what he's shown of how to transform your life. So we have people like Dr. Joe. Then we have very different. We have Russell Brunson, right? We have Stormy Wellington, and these are absolute rock stars at execution, at making it happen. We have people like Justin Prince, 8-figure a year earner in network marketing. People like Jenna Zweigel, another 8-figure a year plus earner, and so we're real excited. What I've learned over the years is two things that I've learned that is maybe contrary to how I used to teach. I used to think that you know people needed strategies and tactics, and if we just give them good strategy and tactics, they'll get results. And the truth is, time has proven that's incorrect.
Yeah.
You can't If you're not consistent, which is what most people struggle with,
Yeah.
then you can have access to the greatest strategies and tactics on the planet, but you just won't do them long enough for them to actually work.
Right.
And so that's number one. And number two, and this is where it gets a little bit even tougher, is um, I now understand. I used to think, hey, with enough action, you're going to make it happen. You're going to get results, right? And I've just found too many people that prospect 30, 40, 50 people a day, too many people that do 3 to 4 videos a day that don't get much results.
Mm.
And that boils down to their perspective. That boils down to their mindset. That
Yeah.
boils down to we'll always verify what we believe to be true.
Yeah.
And so if we believe making money is hard, if we believe that people just aren't buying my thing after COVID, right? Or whatever the belief that they're holding. And a belief is just a repeated thought, then that has to be proven to you. And, this morning I was coaching a lady, and she said, I have this very specific block around prospecting people. And it's this very specific thing. I don't know. I can do other things, but I get this. And I told her, as long as you keep describing it in that way,
Yes.
you have to have it. You
Yeah.
have to. And so you can't describe something in such detail and intricacy and then it just change, right? You have to change the way you describe it. So there are tools, there are step-by-step mindset, strategies that will help you improve your mindset so that you do become more consistent, so that you do
Mm.
squeeze the most out of those great strategies and tactics. And so we see this as the perfect blend of
Yeah.
we have some incredible mindset trainers, step by step. We have neuroscience, and we have the strategies and tactics of what's working right now. And I know we have all this. I believe the majority of the speakers on the page now, and yeah, we'd love to see it. We do have some in-person tickets left, but it's October 27th to 29th in Orlando, Florida. I know Mark, you're coming down. You're going to
Yeah,
do training for those
yeah,
in person, which is so huge on what's
yeah,
working now with YouTube, and so yeah, we're excited.
yeah, yeah. And that's what and seeing, this rank makers compared to some of the last, I kind of noticed that you're coming at this from a different angle. It's
Yeah,
working on the mindset and the strategy because you've
yeah,
got both of them in there. And
yeah,
I agree. I think that is such an important program. Even with my own programs that I work with people on, it's a twofold thing. You got to be
yes,
working on you because all the strategy in the world, you can pump it all into your head over and over and over again, but
yeah,
without the right attitude behind it, none of it's going to work.
yeah,
And I know for me, if I still thought the way I did 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I'd be I wouldn't be doing very well,
yeah.
but it really is. It's a constant just improving yourself. And it's like kind of like what we said at the beginning. It's a journey. Like, it's a journey to do that. And if you keep
Yes.
exposing yourself, and events like this are the perfect example and perfect time to do that.
Yeah.
You know? So I definitely encourage everybody to, get a ticket. If you can get there live, go. Like, I am jonesing to be there. Like, I can't wait, man. I'm so excited. It's been
Yeah,
a while since I've been to an event. So yeah,
I've had the pleasure of speaking at quite a few events here recently because they're really picking up. In fact, this week I'm speaking in Cincinnati, and so I've seen the people at these events just be so grateful to be in person, so
yeah,
grateful to actually see other people and be back networking and hanging out and chatting at the lobby bar or whatever. And so I just know that it's such a good time for it, and so yeah, it's going to be awesome. And we got some really really cool stuff. We're doing a costume contest night one. We're doing a big fundraiser for Dr. Joe and his research, and we'll have a lot of gifts and prizes that we give out throughout. So it's going to be really really cool.
Are you gonna make me break out the pimp costume again? You remember
I'm
that?
thinking, I'm thinking it's time. I'm
we
thinking
had
it's time.
we had that mastermind back in 2015, and that was the only that was the only costume I could find in the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god, I can't believe I'm gonna wear this.
It may not fit you now that you lost so much weight.
I
But why
know,
can't it?
right? I think it's funny because every once in a while that pops back up in my timeline. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good time. So, well, I'm super excited about it, guys. I
Yeah.
definitely get out there, check it out. I'd love to hang with you too. I'm going to be
Yeah.
there the whole time. So come on
And
out,
you
check
know
it
me, you've been to our events. I don't hide
out.
behind the velvet ropes. I mean, I come out, I sign books, I take pictures, I hang
Yeah,
out with people, so I'm not the diva. I like spending time with people.
yeah. No, I mean, I've been to several of your events, and they're always epic, man. You always take them to a new level, and I know this one's going to be, the same thing. So I'm definitely excited. So.
For
Well,
sure.
Ray, I can't tell you enough, man, how much I love you, brother, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming out and spending time here with these guys. And do you have just a second to maybe answer a few questions if people?
Sure.
Yeah, because I remember last time I had you out, I told people, "Hey, come on out. You'll have a little Q&A afterwards." And we cut it, and I've totally forgotten. Be like, "Hey, I wanted to ask
Nope.
Ray some questions." So if you guys have some questions, go ahead and pop them in there, and we won't keep Ray long, but okay, so here's a question from Chris. Let me pop this off here, and I'm gonna put this on the screen. I think you'll probably be able to see this. It says the last 2 years, not done nothing much with online business. I'm struggling to get back into there. In your experience to get back, in your experience, how to get back on the horse? That's what he's asking.
I mean, the number one thing you need to hear is don't overthink it. No one is sitting around saying, I can't believe Chris isn't building his business. Huh? Do you know Chris isn't building his business? Do you believe this guy? It's been like 2 years, right? No one is sitting around talking about it. No one is noticing. And so it's just not overthinking. You don't have to do some big campaign where it's like, all right, I'm back, guys. They're like, where'd you go? You went somewhere, right? Like
Yeah.
no one's paying attention, right? They got their own stuff they're chasing kids, doing laundry, they're doing their own issues. And so just don't overthink it. And it's, why is it important for you to be doing that? Why is it important for you to be building a business, whatever that looks like to you? That you need to know that. And then, from there, it's just like, okay, how do I want to show up? And what is it? Why am I doing this thing? How do I want to show up? And you get to work, and you don't overthink it. You know what to do. Most people don't. They're not confused by what to do. They just create, different camouflages around why they won't do it. But, you start, creating marketing videos, you start reaching out to people imperfectly, and you get in that groove and you get better and you improve.
Yeah, and there's one thing I've noticed too, that you always have momentum. It's just which way is it going?
Yeah.
And sometimes I've found, when you're not doing the things that you need to, you feel in this kind of down momentum, and you're like, well, I haven't done
Totally.
anything in the last 3 weeks, and it's kind of hard to jolt that back. But what I found, once you start doing it, you just start smacking out the videos or doing what you need to
Yep,
do, the momentum starts building again. So you're going one way or the other. You just need to
for
make that
sure.
conscious choice to come back. So to add
Well,
that,
and if you think about it, I mean, that's 100% congruent with what I mentioned
yeah,
earlier, right? 90% of your thoughts are the same as the day before.
right,
And so, if you've been thinking, it's not a big deal, I'll just do it tomorrow and everything's in the future, then, you'll never do anything.
right.
And so you really do it takes it takes an exertion of energy for you to break that pattern. And it does, get easier.
Yep. Yep. So this is I can't see who this is because they're probably in one of my groups, which we're streaming this to. But they say when people hold on to anger for long enough, it begins to define them. Letting that go becomes more and more scary.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that, Ray? Yeah.
It's it's true.
Yeah.
It's definitely true because we become addicted to the chemical that's fired when we think about the injustice. And here's the biggest issue with that is it's been proven over and 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 over that the brain doesn't know the difference between the thought about an event and the actual event. Okay, no difference. So they did this study, on they call it the piano player study.
That's Eddie
And
V, by the way.
Eddie V, what's up? And so they did this study on around the piano. And so they had, we'll just focus in on the two groups. But they had four groups that they came in and taught them very basics of piano. And group number one, they had go home, provided them with a piano, had them practice for 15 minutes a day, every day, and come back, and they retested them. Uh, the second group, they had go home, said, do not touch a piano, but we want you to practice in your mind for 15 minutes a day. Right. So you can't touch a piano, but you practice in your mind. And so the one that touched the piano and practiced on a piano every day improved by, like, I think it was 23% or something like that. The one that practiced didn't touch a piano improved by over 20%. And so the brain mappings looked almost identical,
Mm,
and the improvement was almost identical.
yeah.
And so why is that important to this? Well, if you're reliving, like, imagine someone that, years ago was, physically abused, right? I know, it's probably the majority of people, right? It's probably a higher percentage of people that were abused than not abused. And but imagine someone who was abused every day for decades. How would that person show up in the world?
Mm,
And see, the abuse only had to happen one time if you're thinking about it every day. But how would the thoughts be impacted if someone,
yep.
thought, which the brain doesn't know the difference between a thought and the actual event, if someone was actually abused every single day in their mind, how would they show up? Well, they would be scared of people. They would expect people to, hurt them. They'd be like that hurt dog, right? That the dog that you rescue that stays in the corner is terrified of you, and you have to really feed it and nurture it and everything for it to get better. And so, it's true. You do become addicted to your personality, and you become addicted to how you think, act, and feel. But the reality is you can change that.
Yeah.
And the way, you're not your thoughts, actions, and feelings because you can observe them.
Mm.
You can observe, you can observe what you are. You can observe these traits that you're currently embodying.
Mm.
And with observation, you can make change.
Yeah. That's it's incredibly powerful, man. I really, you know, I mean, even, the more I learn about myself and, just learning about how you truly can control which direction you're going in. Everybody has that control, and I
Yeah.
think that's definitely a big deal. So we got two more questions and then we'll let you go here, Ray. I know you're a busy
Well,
guy. So do you have a book coming out called Defiance?
we do. I mean, so our theme of the event is be defiant and win despite your obstacles. And but the book, it's still a ways out. It's still a
So
ways out.
so
And
here's the
so,
question. Share one nugget from the book coming. So,
um,
if you have one.
I mean, so a concept from the book is to build up your defiance points. Okay. So every day, try to build up your defiance points. So if you know that cold showers are good for you, but you don't want to do them, if you do the cold shower, that's a point.
Mm.
If you have a tendency to overeat and you leave that last slice of pizza, that's a point, right? And so if your spouse, does something to push your buttons and you resist your normal reaction, that's a point.
Mm.
And so some people are wishing for this pristine environment,
Mm.
and then they'll be better.
Yeah.
And the problem is your environment is going to change. So, like some diet gurus, they'll say, remove everything out of your house that could possibly tempt you, which is great as long as you're quarantined,
Yeah.
right? But the minute you go to your neighbors for the Super Bowl party and they got buffalo dip and they got chips and they got pizza and they got wings and they got, you're like, "Bah,"
Yeah.
right? So I would rather you keep all the crap in your house,
Yeah.
but be defiant.
Yeah.
See that chocolate chip cookie with the whipped cream on it and not eat it.
Yeah.
That's a point.
Yeah.
And so defiance, one thing that's very powerful about defiance is when you become, defiant to your own kind of, machine, right? To your own programs, you'll determine what else can I do?
Yeah.
You'll start asking that question. Wow, I did that thing. What else can I do?
Yeah.
And so you start pushing the envelope of going into the unknown of,
Yeah.
maybe I can learn ballroom dancing. Well, maybe I can go skydiving. Well, maybe I can, do this. And so it's such a confidence boost when you're defiant, either good or bad,
Yeah.
either going to the gym when you don't feel like it or not eating that last slice of pizza.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the concepts from the book.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you just saying that, like, I've been on this, health
Yeah,
journey as well. But I mean, literally, this was the conscious time we made the decision. We're not going to clean out our cupboards. What we're going to do is we're going to eat what we got and we're just not going to buy anymore.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
slowly made this transition out and we've been doing awesome. And
Nice.
it was just another way to kind of, I guess, be defiant about it, but it was like
Yeah,
I'm not going to go through the cupboards and throw everything out like everybody, every diet guru
nice.
says. But
Yeah.
I love that. So last question here, and I think it's a great one to end with. And Brian says, "Let me." He says, "Ray, what is your driving force? You may have already said it, but what is your driving force?"
I mean, it's the hint is in my mantras. So it's impact. I was sent to this life to make an impact, and that was my purpose. That was stamped on me whenever, and so help the person I used to be. For me, that's a lot of people. People have been through abuse and trauma. People who've been dead broke. People who've had self-worth issues. People who've been workaholics, not fulfilled. And so there's a lot of categories of people that I can help. Be as brave as the people who need us. That's that's just putting myself in the shoes of the tens of millions of people that need the information that's on this live right here. This live right here could change a life.
Absolutely.
But how many millions of people don't have access to this, or, will never find this, right? And then, let me never be too busy saving strangers to neglect my own is, how do I not show up as some, international guru mentor, but not be that toward my own kids.
Yeah.
And so that's been, you know, a challenge to me, and it's been, powerful to step into that state of being.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I saw you had commented on one of your old videos today, and it was you about dancing, getting out there and dancing, and how you were bad at it. And I started thinking, boy, I don't know, maybe I should go get some dancing lessons with my wife. She'd probably dig that.
She would.
Yeah.
Most women would. Most
Yeah,
women would.
I know she would. So you're
Yeah.
inspiring me, bro.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you. We're excited to
Yeah.
have you out there, and obviously the link is on the screen if you want to grab your ticket. We have, for our speakers, we gave you guys some really attractive options. I mean, they're kind of silly, to be honest. And so we do have a virtual ticket, or you can, while there's space, you can come in person. And you got a couple really, really attractive options there. So make sure you check those out.
Absolutely, guys. Get over to markharbert.com/RM live. That's Rank Makers Live. And be a great time, man. Well, Ray, thank you so much,
Yeah.
brother. You're
Yeah, man.
sure love you, man. And thanks so much for always bringing the value and having the impact that you do.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much, man. You too. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for coming out. And if you got some value from this, tag somebody, share it with them, send it over in Messenger, and help get the word out. All right. Have a great day, guys.